What is a virtual machine? A virtual machine, or VM, is a compute resource that uses software instead of a physical computer to run programs and deploy apps. That sounds a bit weird if you're not familiar with the concept, but it's an established technology that effectively allows you to, for example, run a Windows computer on a Linux PC and vice versa. The software emulates or virtually imitates a computer platform, and an operating system can be installed onto this virtual machine. Another use is to consolidate hardware. For example, in many data centers, most of the servers running in there will be virtual. There will be several large, powerful pieces of server hardware, and each of those might run multiple virtual servers on them. So instead of running 300 individual computers, you might have 40 or 50, each running several VMs. For home users, it allows someone like me running Linux to create virtual machines running other Linux distros or even Windows. Why? Well, for one thing, it allows you to experiment without having a bunch of other physical computers laying around. There are different flavors of virtualization, but here I'm going to use QEMU on a Debian-based Linux system. Installing another major distros would be similar, but using that system's package manager. Here's how to install a virtual machine manager on a Debian-based distro. First, you need to check that your computer or laptop can support virtualization technology. Most of them will. You can reboot into your system BIOS, and it will typically be a setting under the Advanced tab. For Intel, it may be listed as Virtualization or VMX. For AMD processors, it's usually listed as SVM mode. You should enable them if they are not already set. Once that's done, you're ready to install. You need KVM, the kernel base virtual machine, which is already part of any recent Linux kernel. You need to install QEMU, which is the emulation software for the virtual machine. And finally, virt-manager allows you to manage your VMs, starting and stopping them, etc. So, from the command line, you can run these commands. Sudo apt-update just gets your system up to date with everything else. Then the actual part of the sudo apt install is a combination of a couple of commands, which installs the QEMU and virtualization manager. Then you can add your user to the required groups, which avoids having to provide credentials each time you start the virtual machine. The $user environment variable refers to the currently logged in user. Once you've done that, log out and back in again for the group changes to take effect, then start the service. Launch it with virt-manager from the command line, or find it in your application menu as Virtual Machine Manager. For alternatives, if you want to use something simpler, is VirtualBox, which is a more beginner-friendly UI, or GNOME Boxes, which is a very simple UI and is fine for, basic VMs. KVM QEMU with virt-manager is generally the best choice for performance since it uses hardware virtualization directly, while VirtualBox is easier to get started with if you're new to VMs. Hope that helps somebody. Let me know in the comments if you use VMs at all. So that's another video in the can. If you found this interesting or informative or even funny, give me a like and maybe even subscribe. And remember, be excellent to each other.